This is called bleeding tissue paper painting, and specifically the type of tissue paper is a type that when it gets wet it will bleed, and that's important for this project that you have that type of tissue paper. You'll want to test a sample to make sure the color will run, because that's how it makes the watercolor effect. We're starting off with the shapes that are already cut into flower shapes. You can choose any color. I chose pinks and red to work with, different shades of green for the leaves, and a brown tissue for the stems. And those are already cut ahead of time. I'm working with a watercolor paper stock. You could also use a heavyweight cardstock or anything that will support using water. And we'll also be using a glue mixture which has a little bit of white glue, the white glue and a little bit of water mixed together to like a cream consistency. The blue shades of blue are just pieces of tissue that we're going to be using for our background. They're not cut in any particular shape. They happen to be in a circle shape now, but just going to use pieces, and that will be the first step that we will do. So using a large flat brush and just plain water, I'm going to start covering the entire paper with water. And this is why it's important to have either watercolor paper or a heavy cardstock to support this much water. And while it's still wet, I'm going to take pieces of the blue and start tapping it all around the surface like this. And I just want to have a touch of the color here and there, working where I know it's still wet. And just be careful because it will dye your fingers temporarily. And try some different shades of blue just to see the color. This is a little brighter. This becomes our background. I'll try a darker. This is almost of a purple. And if you have any dry spots, you can kind of re-wet your surface as needed. And just try, this is a little deeper of a color. And as an art project, it's nice just on its own. Very abstract. I'll just kind of fill in an overall background. Once you've completed that, we don't need to wait for anything to dry, but I am going to switch to the mixture that has white glue and a little water, and it should just make sure it's all stirred up. And like I said, it's kind of a milky, creamy consistency. And I'm going to start adding just a stem to begin with, a branch for the flowers and the leaves to come off of. And you can add a little glue mixture on top of it. Use different lengths. Oops. And you'll notice that the paint, or the tissue, will start looking like watercolor paint as it starts to bleed. And be aware that it is going to be on your brush as well. So as you go over your painting, it will pick up some of the color. And you want to just put just a little glue down first and then go over just to secure your pieces. Add as many branches as you like, just wherever you'd like. And then start adding your flowers. Pick some of the largest pieces to place down, and then start layering it with the glue, and maybe layer one on top of the other, kind of space them a little differently, different sizes. Will give you a little bit more layering effect. And as you start painting, that you'll start seeing some of the color bleeding around the shapes, and that adds to the watercolor effect. And once you've placed your flowers, you can start adding the leaves all around. Same process. Until you like your arrangement. And if you want more color to bleed, you can go back and just dab with some water, and that will also help the color start blending and bleeding around the painting as well. So that's up to you how much you want to add. But the overall effect is like a watercolor in the end, and just let that dry on its own.